Lesson number 3 for Wednesday, July 12th. Christ above all powers. Paul has celebrated the exaltation of Jesus, who now sits with the Father on the throne of the cosmos. Having defined the position of Christ in relationship to the Father, he's seated at his right hand in the heavenly places. Paul turns to the relationship of Jesus to the powers. As co-regent with the Father, Jesus is far above them all. Ephesians 1:21. Compare Paul's mentioning of evil, spiritual powers in Ephesians chapters 1, 2, and 6. Why do you think Paul is so interested in these powers? Acts 19:11-20, with its story of 7 sons of Sceva, illustrates that Ephesus at the time of Paul was a center for the magic arts. In his book, The Concept of Power in Ephesians, page 18, Clinton E. Arnold says, "The overriding characteristic of the practice of magic throughout the Hellenistic world was the cognizance of a spirit world exercising influence over virtually every aspect of life. The goal of the magician was to discern the helpful spirits from the harmful ones and learn the distinct operations and the relative strengths and authority of the spirits. Through this knowledge, means could be constructed with spoken or written formulas, amulets, etc., for the manipulation of the spirits in the interest of the individual person. With the proper formula, a spirit-induced sickness could be cured, or a chariot race could be won. The interest in naming deities and powers in spells was a feature of religious life in Ephesus, see Acts 19:13, and among some even today. Paul wishes to make clear the relationship between Christ and the powers. The exalted Jesus is far above all rule and authority and power and dominion. Just to be sure that his audience understands that there is no power outside of the sovereignty of Jesus, he adds an allusion to the practice of gathering up the names of deities and spells, and above every name that is named. Turning from the dimension of space to that of time, Paul stresses the unlimited chronology of Jesus' exalted rule. His rule over all powers applies, not only in this age, but also in the one to come. What are some present-day manifestations of these same evil forces, and how can we make sure that we don't get caught up in any of them? From the book Patriarchs and Prophets, page 692 and 694, it says, "All earthly powers are under the control of the Infinite One. To the mightiest ruler, to the most cruel oppressor, he says, Hitherto shalt thou come, but no further." Job 38:11. God's power is constantly exercised to counteract the agencies of evil. He is ever at work among men, not for their destruction, but for their correction and preservation. From the Acts of the Apostles, page 219, it says, "The early Christians were often called to meet the powers of darkness face to face. By sophistry and by persecution, the enemy endeavored to turn them from the true faith. At the present time, when the end of all things earthly is rapidly approaching, Satan is putting forth desperate efforts to ensnare the world. He is devising many plans to occupy minds and to divert attention from the truths essential to salvation. In every city, his agencies are busily organizing into parties those who are opposed to the law of God. The arch-deceiver is at work to introduce elements of confusion and rebellion, and men are being fired with a zeal that is not according to the knowledge. Wickedness is reaching a height never before attained, and yet many ministers of the gospel are crying peace and safety. But God's faithful messengers are to go steadily forward with their work. Clothed with the panoply of heaven, they are to advance fearlessly and victoriously, never ceasing their warfare until every soul within their reach shall have received the message of truth for this time. Have a blessed day.